I've lived on this property for 35 years, long enough to watch this quiet little country road turn into a neighborhood, then a development, and eventually, thanks to some very ambitious newcomers, an HOA. I didn't vote for it, didn't join it, and legally didn't have to. My land was old homestead property, grandfathered out of their jurisdiction, but that never stopped the HOA president, Karen, because, of course, her name was Karen, from trying to control everything she could see from her front porch. Now, the most treasured part of my property has always been the 2 ancient oak trees in my front yard. Their enormous wide branches stretching gracefully over the lawn, thick trunks scarred by time, and deep roots that had been holding this land together for over 100 years. My late wife used to say those trees had more personality than half the people in town. They'd stood watch over my kids as they played in the yard. They gave shade in the summers, sheltered birds in the winter, and brought a calm, grounding presence to the whole property. Everyone who visited loved those trees. Everyone except Karen. One morning, I stepped outside to grab my newspaper and saw a bright yellow paper flapping on my mailbox. I unfolded it and had to laugh. It was a notice from the HOA claiming my oak trees were creating a disruptive aesthetic imbalance and ordering me to cut both of them down within 14 days. Failure to comply, it said, would result in $1,000 in fines, with the possibility of further enforcement action. I walked right over to Karen's driveway. She was out front, arms crossed, waiting for me like she had predicted exactly when I'd show up. "Morning," I said, as calmly as I could. "We can't have properties standing out too much," she replied, with that tone she reserved for when she thought she was speaking to a child. "Uniformity keeps values high. You'll need to remove the trees by next week." "Karen," I said, "these trees were here before the town was even founded. They were here before the Civil War. They're part of this property's history." She shrugged. "Irrelevant. They don't match the neighborhood's look." "I'm not under your HOA," I reminded her. Her eyes narrowed. "You are in the zone of visual influence." That was a new one. Before I could respond, she added, "If you don't take them down, we will escalate. Rules apply to everyone." I walked back to my house, more irritated than angry. I was about to cut down 2 century-old trees because someone with a clipboard didn't like the way they looked. So instead of arguing with her, I made another phone call, this one to the county ranger's office. The ranger who came out was an older gentleman named Bill, soft-spoken, with a kind of quiet wisdom you don't see much anymore. He walked around the trees slowly, running his hand along the bark, checking the branching structure, even measuring the circumference. "These are in beautiful shape," he murmured. "Most trees this old have split or hollowed. Yours are healthy as ever." He asked if I had any paperwork from when I bought the land. I brought out my old folder, yellowed with age. He looked through the documents, nodding. Then he said something that changed everything. "These trees aren't just old, they're registered heritage landmarks." I blinked. "Come again?" He tapped a line on one of the papers. "Your property was surveyed and cataloged back in the 70s. These oaks were officially designated as protected historical landmarks. Nobody touches them. Not the town, not private contractors, and certainly not an HOA." Bill took photos, documented the HOA notice, and told me he'd handle the rest. And boy, did he. 3 days later, Karen and the entire HOA board received a certified letter from the county. Not a polite letter, no. This one was firm, official, and very clear. It stated that the oak trees are legally protected heritage landmarks. Any attempt to alter, damage, or remove them is a violation of state preservation law. The HOA has zero jurisdiction over historical landmarks, especially on exempt homestead property. Any further interference could result in state fines and legal action. Karen showed up at my door the next morning, letter in hand, her face redder than a stop sign. You called the county on us," she sputtered. "No, Karen," I said. I called the people who actually have authority, something you might want to try next time. She muttered something about miscommunication and unnecessary escalation. But the damage was done. The HOA had been publicly corrected by the county. And worse for her, several neighbors now knew she had tried to illegally force a homeowner to cut down protected trees. Her reputation took a serious hit. Meetings got quieter. Complaints about her piled up. Within 2 months, she stepped down to focus on family. And my trees? Still standing. Still towering. Still watching over the land like they always have. Sometimes revenge doesn't require shouting or fighting. Sometimes all you need is the truth and a ranger who knows what he's doing. If you enjoyed this story of HOA karma, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.